What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Wildrift video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new balance patch, which should be coming out in a couple of hours after I upload this video. And yeah, the patch notes just came out right now, so without further ado, let's just dive deep into them and, as always, dissect them, think about what the changes will do, how the meta will shift. But first of all, they're also gonna be releasing a new champion, and it's gonna be Katarina. So she's gonna be the first one out of the ones that were already promised to be released during this and the next patch cycle, which is, of course, if you guys forgot, Katarina, Pantheon, Leona, and Diana. So the first one is gonna be Katarina. She's gonna be most likely a mid lane assassin. Well, she is usually a mid lane assassin, but I'm saying she will most likely be played in the mid lane if she follows the same trend like on the PC version. And of course, I'm gonna be looking forward to her a lot because I main the mid lane. So if you guys want to see those gameplays, I will probably be playing her a lot. So make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell to not miss, in general, this Wildrift content, on this channel. But yeah, she is gonna be high mobility, high burst, has an ultimate that just damages everybody around her continuously. She just keeps throwing out those daggers. However, you can stun her to cancel it. She can reset her ability cooldowns if she gets kills, and man, it is just such a slippery champion, super high skill cap. And yeah, I think a lot of people are looking forward to her. But yeah, we'll have to see how she plays out on the mobile version. Of course, the little change compared to the PC version, she can actually walk during her ult, although it is very, very slow. But yeah, it's gonna be really fun to check her out. But we'll have to see how she positions in this meta, because right now it's kind of, mid lane is very dominated by Orianna. So let's jump into the balance changes and see if Orianna is going to take a hit or not, and if especially the big boogeyman in the room. I mean, you'll probably see it in the title, but Lulu is getting a nerf. Luckily, we'll see if it's going to be enough. But first of all, new skins. Bilgewater Katarina, Deathsorn Katarina. This one's really good. You will see it is beautiful. Then the Omega Squad skins are coming in. El Tigre Braum, not bad. And Super Galaxy Shyvana. That one's gonna be most likely really, really insane. But yeah, moving on to the champion balance changes already. Now, this is of course the most exciting part of this every time. This has to be on point. I'm not gonna lie. Over the past month, we didn't really get, we got that small hotfix. Over the past month, that's the only thing that nerfed Lulu and Orianna, but only a very little bit. Only raised their ultimate cooldowns. So we really need some hefty changes here. We need to see Olaf nerfs, we need to see Orianna nerfs, we need to see Lulu nerfs, and yeah, let's check it out. I mean, a lot of people were looking forward to this a lot. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. First of all, we're going to be seeing a nice little Ashe buff. Now, I really agree with this. I think Ashe is decent, but she really can't compete with champions like Miss Fortune, Draven, Jinx, stuff like that. Even Tristana, after her recent buff, is probably stronger than Ashe. So Ashe really, if you're a god with the arrow, you can make her shine, but she should definitely, she definitely needed some love. And I think this is pretty decent. Her first ability, of course, makes her shoot these triple arrows, but she has to first stack some auto attacks up to be able to use the full potential of the ability, and they're going to be lowering the cooldown by 1 second on each rank for it. Since you're already gated, the ability is already gated by you putting in those auto attacks and getting those stacks first before you can actually make great use, or before you can draw the biggest potential out of it. So this is pretty good. Any love Ashe can get is good. Will it be enough to make her a top tier marksman? I don't think so. Will it make Ashe mains very happy and make her a little bit better? Because keep in mind, 1 second less, max level, only 4 seconds, you will pretty much be able to, because you use that ability, you do those 6 auto attacks, and then you will already be able to use it again almost, right? So that is pretty good, when a cooldown is already pretty low, putting it even lower by a full second can make a lot of things happen, okay? So I think Ashe is definitely going to feel this. Again, despite MF actually getting nerfed as well later on, I don't think Ashe will still be able to compete with all these top tier marksmen right now. But we'll see. We'll have to see how the patch turns out. But yeah, definitely a happy day for the Ashe players, but might not be enough to make her like a top tier marksman quite yet. Moving on to Darius. He is also getting a buff. Now, Darius is actually a champion that I play a lot. I'm a huge fan of him, but I recognize that he is just a solo queue machine. He's not good in competitive. He really struggles there. Even against good solo queue players, you know, who know how to abuse Darius in the lane, who know when to fight him and when not to. He's very kiteable in team fights as well. Like, he has some issues. He can definitely put in a lot of work if you play him extremely well. But yeah, I feel like these buffs aren't going to make him OP, but let's check them out. Decimate, the first ability, the little spin, is gonna have a lot more healing on it, okay? And this is missing health heal depending on how many stacks you have on your passive, of course. It's gonna go up to 45% from 36% at max. So that is pretty insane. 45% heal, pair that up with a Spirit Visage, which usually if the enemy even has only one AP champion, it is worth building on Darius, because again, it's going to increase that healing even further. This is going to make him very, very potent. So that's already really cool. It's also a cool buff where you have to hit that ability and then you get the more potential out of it, right? Which isn't always easy to do. But yeah, this is going to make him pop off in team fights even harder than he already can. Moving on to his third ability, Apprehend. The slow duration on it, on his little hook, is going up from 1 to 1.5 seconds. So this is also going to be very nice. It's going to enable you to chase the enemy easier, to put on some more auto attacks onto them, get more of your blood stacks, and then just finish them off with the ult. So these aren't too big changes. Like, it's not that big of a change in general here for Darius. It's not going to completely break him, it's not going to make him completely broken, but again, if you are a Darius player, you will definitely feel this, especially this Decimate change, the increased healing, and it'll make him more viable, it'll make him better. He will still struggle in the laning phase, I feel like, which he struggles a lot against stuff like Akali and other champions like Olaf. You know, you can win against Olaf, but he can really just run you down, blow you out. Something like Camille can kite you, can keep you at range. So yeah, as I said, it is more of a champion where the enemy has to make a mistake for you to be able to snowball, and he will still have that issue, but he will be a little bit more useful in the late game, in those team fights. And that's always good to see, because that's where he really needs a lot of love as well. I definitely think he's still going to be, just like before, great solo queue pick if you like him, if you're good at him, if you can get a favorable matchup like a Nasus or a Mundo or something like that. And yeah, and he's going to be a little bit better in team fights. So I like this. I'm a huge fan of it. I mean, I like to play Darius, so it makes sense. Moving on to Ezreal. Now this is a good one because he was really getting outshone, especially because it was an Enchanter support meta. So he's not that good in that meta, you know, he doesn't benefit that much from the Ardent Sensor compared to something that goes for crit chance in their marksman itemization. So he definitely needed some love, and basically they're just going to be reverting his Mystic Shot nerf. So they're giving him back the base damage on it. Level 1 is still going to be the same, but especially max level is going to be 15 more, which doesn't seem that big on paper, but keep in mind, you spam those out every second, so it really adds up over a team fight. So this is definitely going to help Ezreal a lot. I think he was still viable. I think he was just, for how difficult he is to play compared to something like a Misfortune, it just wasn't worth picking him. I still saw great Ezreal mains who were taking over games, and they're going to have an even easier time now to do that. But it just wasn't worth. Now it's going to make it more worthwhile to really practice Ezreal a little bit more. I still think he's still... the great thing about this, the great thing for Ezreal is not this change, but it's going to be this change, okay? Because this Lulu nerf is going to take a little bit, put a break on the Enchanter support meta. And that's the good thing, because that's where he was really not in the best place. But yeah, so I definitely think we'll see more Ezreal in general. Moving on to Lulu. Now this is the big one. This is the one that everybody wanted. And you can see it's a lot. Look, we can scroll. It is a lot. So let's check out if this is actually gonna kill Lulu. Because many people, me included, were very vocal about how they don't want to see Lulu anymore in their games. I wish they would have just killed her completely, nerfed her completely insanely hard so we don't see her for like at least 2 months and then buff her again, okay? I feel like they didn't do that, but let's dive deep into it. Base stats, first of all. Base health going down from 570 to 530. Decent, you know, gonna be a little bit squishier early game. Movement speed going down from 330 to 325. Also easier to catch out, you know, especially with that Whimsy. If she uses it on herself, she's really slippery and hard to catch. So this is gonna make it a little bit easier. But so far, not too big of a deal. Now this is pretty good. Whimsy polymorph duration going down by 0.25 seconds per level. So it's not gonna be a 2-second polymorph at max level anymore. It's gonna be 1.75 seconds. Now this is great. Keep in mind, this again doesn't seem that big. But what happened to Twisted Fate? He was not that good. They gave him a 2-second stun card instead of 1.75 seconds. They did exactly the same change, and all of a sudden, I mean, they also buffed his AP ratios, but that gold card is just so useful now. It feels like an eternity. Sometimes small changes in a hard CC ability like that can make a big difference, and I think this is going to be one of those. It's going to feel much less frustrating to play against this Lulu. So yeah, that is already a good step. Now this is going to be the biggest one, okay? Let's take a look at the ult first, so we can take the, you know, savor the best change for last, okay? Ult, Wild Growth, cast range going down from 8 to 7. Now, this isn't that big of a deal, because usually you're sitting close to your marksman or to whoever you want to protect anyway, right? So this isn't gonna be that insane. It's gonna feel good though, because it's gonna leave more openings. If the Lulu is out of position, and you're an Akali or a Zed or something and you want to dive onto the marksman, now it's going to be more punishing because she will have to travel more distance to be able to save them. So you will have more openings for that. But in general, it's still not gonna, like, this is not the big one. The big one, I think, is this, because the shield is getting hard nerfed. First of all, the cast range is going down also by 1 unit. Now, the thing about this is why this is a bigger nerf than the ultimate. Because you max the shield and you use the shield in lane for poking, which is also one of the great assets of Lulu. She makes your lane just a victory. She wins almost every 2v2 matchup, and this is great. So this is gonna make it that she has to move much closer to you to be able to poke you, which is just gonna leave her exposed for counter poke. And yeah, oftentimes she's just not gonna be able to get into range. Because honestly, 7 range is already not that big if you're laning against something like an Ezreal, like a Misfortune who's just gonna double up your booty. The Ezreal is gonna Mystic Shot your booty, and yeah, so that is good. However, this is the big one. Shield duration is getting halved from 5 seconds to 2.5 seconds. Now keep in mind, I am not quite sure because I don't play these soy champions. You know me, guys, I don't play Lulu. It is what it is, but I'm pretty sure this is also gonna make Pix, the little passive fairy, move back to you after these 2.5 seconds, okay? So not only is the shield gonna only stay 2.5 seconds on you, which is a lot more punishing, even just by that itself is a lot more punishing. How many times have you laned against Lulu and you're like, oh, she messed up, she used her shield. But then it's like, you wait, you try to wait for it to time out, but it just never times out. 5 seconds is such a long time. So that is getting halved to 2.5 seconds. But again, I'm pretty sure also the Pix is going to return to Lulu after these 2.5 seconds, which means that this passive damage is not going to be applied by that Jinx for 5 full seconds, bro. She was just shooting you, and that little fairy, honestly, it does so much damage. I was noticing it more and more lately when playing Graves even, you know, and I auto-attack twice, and that fairy just nukes the enemy. It's unreal. So, yeah, that is really, really good. All in all, though, I think it is enough to... We're gonna see a lot less Lulu. The reason I say this, I think Lulu is still gonna be decent. She's not gonna be completely broken. And oftentimes, just like Kennen. Do you see Kennen often anymore? He's still very decent. He's just not auto-win broken anymore, like a month ago. Lulu is gonna be still very decent, just not auto-win broken, which means that a lot of these soy boys, if you feel targeted right now, you should maybe reconsider your gaming playstyle, okay? But a lot of these soy boys who only play Lulu now, even if they don't like supporting, even if they don't like Lulu, they just play her to get those free victories, they're gonna stop playing her. And that's a lot of people. So I think we're gonna see a lot less Lulu, even though she's still pretty good. I don't know, I can't really rank her, this is a huge change. We can't really rank her based off only reading this. We have to feel it in game, but I definitely think this is a very good nerf and oops. Hold up, what happened? What happened? Oh, I opened the thing. Whoops. Anyway, anyway, as I said, I feel like this is going to be pretty good. We're going to see a lot less Lulu, and she's going to be a lot more in line with the balance, still strong. So if you main Lulu, if you're one of these filthy, you know, soy boys, or if you're just someone who loves playing Lulu because she's fun, honestly, she is one of the most fun support champions. You'll still be fine. Don't worry. You can still keep playing her. Moving on to Miss Fortune. She's also be getting a nerf. Is it going to be enough? Let's find out, because I am always vocal about it. I think Miss Fortune is the best marksman right after Draven, but the Draven has to be 100% perfectly played, which is very difficult. And just an average Joe playing Miss Fortune is already going to be almost at the potential of a perfect Draven. So I definitely think she deserves some nerfs. Let's see what they're going to be about. So they're talking here about how they think she's too tanky, and they want to put down her tankiness instead of her damage. So the ultimate is still going to be untouched. The Q damage, everything untouched. So I think right off the get-go, she's still going to be great, because a marksman has to stay out of harm's way anyway. But yeah, let's check it out. Base armor, we're going down by 5, which is pretty decent. You're going to be much easier. It's going to be much easier to compete with her in laning phase. Base health region also going down, and base health region per level going down, which is in total, instead of 21 at level 15, it's going to be 14 at level 15, and 6 at level 1 instead of 9, so 33%. But again, I don't think that's like a deal breaker. The armor is pretty decent though, because if she eats a Mystic Shot or a Draven Axe or whatever, maybe a Varus Q, she's gonna take a huge hit now, okay? As opposed to before the patch where she was a little bit tankier. Now this is very interesting. They're not gonna nerf the damage against champions with the Love Tap, which is her passive. They're gonna nerf it against minions. So it's gonna be much harder for MF now to push these minions. Before she had a really insane wave clear, and this is what they're gonna be nerfing. So not bad, but again, I feel like Miss Fortune is just really, really strong in laning phase and in late game. Her late game damage just might be a little bit too strong compared to her PC counterpart, where she's more of a very early game champion, and late game she really falls off hard. Here that doesn't really happen. She's still very, very strong late game. So I feel like that's where they might be wanting to target the nerf next time. Keep in mind though, we'll also see a Blade of the Ruined King nerf in this patch, which is gonna hit Miss Fortune a lot directly, because that's her most premier build right now. But yeah, I think Miss Fortune is still gonna be great. Is she gonna be the best? Now it might be worth to just practice Draven a lot, and we might just see Draven every game instead of Miss Fortune. But yeah, keep in mind also with the Lulu nerf, we won't see a Jinx nerf, but that is a Jinx nerf. Because Jinx is honestly only really, really strong with Lulu. She's very decent with Janna, you know, or with Nami, but that is not, like, she's only really completely game-breakingly broken with Lulu. So yeah, they pretty much hit, they did really well so far, okay? They did really well so far. This is a little bit too little here, Miss Fortune, but you know, everything else, very, very good. Now this is the issue. Olaf. As you guys know, Olaf is the best jungler right now. He's also one of the best Baron laners right now. We see that in esports, we see that in solo queue. He is just really, really insane. he needs a bigger nerf than this, but let's check it out. First of all, his base stats are being hit. Base armor going down by 5, he's going to be a lot squishier, that's good. Base AD going down by 6, that's honestly pretty big. Like his jungle clear is going to be slower. His 1v1 laning potential, dueling potential is going to be much weaker in that Baron lane. So that's pretty good. But here's the issue. Next, the only remaining nerf is the underthrow. His Q ability, his first ability, the axe that he throws, is going, the slow duration, the slow duration is going down from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds, and the slow percentage is going down by 10 per level, which is pretty big. But did you ever feel like the slow of Olaf is just too much? Did you ever feel like it lasts too long? You know? I don't think so, because usually he throws a Q at you, you run away, he picks it up, throws it again. Usually that happens within 2 seconds. So what is the big issue about Olaf? He just runs you down. He E's auto attacks you and he just kills you way too fast. He has so much attack speed. He has so much damage on that third ability. That is the issue. That E is just way too strong and they're not going to be nerfing him. He also takes way too little damage himself when using the E, which is on PC kind of like, it's a lot. He does a lot of damage to himself on PC when he uses E. But here, you just max it in the jungle. You just use it on every jungle camp. You don't even lose a lot of health. Like, it's just crazy. So that is the big issue. He just taps you down way too hard. I think Olaf is still going to be the premier jungler. He's still going to be absolutely insane. We see a lot of Lee Sin as well again. Lee Sin isn't getting nerfed, so Lee Sin is also going to be still top tier. We might see Lee Sin over Olaf and Olaf just moving to the Baron lane, which he's usually picked in pro play, by the way, in esports. If you guys watched my last esports video, you saw that. He is being played in that solo lane instead of the jungle. But yeah, he's still going to be insane, man. This is the issue. I still think we'll see a lot of Olafs every single game. Yeah. So if you are one of the dirty little Olaf abusers, don't you worry. You'll be able to abuse him for 2 more weeks. Unless Katarina is just going to completely destroy him. Which kind of possible because he doesn't have any hard CC to stop her ultimate. But yeah, I think he's still going to be insane. Moving on to Varus. He is getting a very nice little buff, a little one though, because as Riot is saying here, and as you will see in my next upcoming video, which will be a Varus gameplay still on the previous patch, but it's going to be very impressive. It's going to be with a very janky build, so make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell if you don't want to see, if you don't want to miss that. I mean, because you will see that Varus is already pretty strong, and that's exactly what they're saying here. The only reason they're putting this buff here, what I assume, is just to remind everyone, hey, Varus exists. He's really good. We're buffing him a little bit. Try him out. He's really good. Read his abilities properly though. You have to use his Q properly with the W in conjunction. It deals a lot more damage. Like, you just need to read Varus' kit, and he is actually very, very strong already. Is he one of the top tier marksmen? Frankly, I don't know. I didn't play him much, but he feels pretty strong, I have to say. Now, yeah, and they're going to be making him even stronger. 2 seconds at each rank shaved off that first ability, which is honestly really nice. You might see some lethality Varus coming in now. Just full lethality, just focusing on the poke. Although I think on-hit Varus or even AP Varus, my video is going to be hybrid Varus, you'll see it's crazy, is the strongest because his AP ratios are just insane. But yeah, I think Varus is great. He's still going to be great. This is not that big of a buff. It's just a reminder for us to keep playing him. Yeah, also he's going to benefit from the Blade of the Ruined King change, which is a nerf to most champions, but to him it's going to be a buff because they raised the attack speed. Moving on to Vayne. Now Vayne is a little bit underwhelming. They're going to be buffing her. They're saying here that they're buffing her because of the Blade of the Ruined King nerfs. Keep in mind though, they're reducing the attack damage on Blade of the Ruined King, but giving it attack speed. So it's actually kind of a buff for Vayne, in my opinion. Yeah, I think she likes the attack speed more. But yeah, they're going to be buffing her. I think she's going to be pretty decent. She's already pretty decent, but this is going to make her even better. And you can see it's mainly an early game buff, because late game she's already pretty cracked out. Early game, her condemn damage, her E, the kick that kicks you into a wall and stuns you, if it kicks you into a wall, the damage is going to be increased by 30 at rank 1, which is insane. Considering you will leave this ability at rank 1 for most of the game, because you probably max Silver Bolts first, or the Q first, and then the other one second, depending on which one you max first, and then you max the Condemn last. This is pretty good. This is pretty good, and at last rank it's still going to be a 15 increase, so it's going to be increasing less and less the more points you put in, but it's overall just a buff at each point of the game, so that is pretty good, especially early game though. If you can push the enemy into that wall, that might result just in a straight up kill, because that is a lot of damage. 105 base damage level 1. Moving on to her ultimate, Final Hour. Cooldown going down by 10 seconds at rank 1 from 100 to 90, by 15 at rank 2, and by 5, excuse me, at rank 2, and still staying the same 60 seconds at maximum rank, because again, she's pretty strong late game, she doesn't need it late game, but early game, that is definitely a welcome change. So yeah, we might see more Vayne, especially with stuff like Misfortune being nerfed, which is a huge lane bully, which Vayne doesn't like to play against, lane bullies in general. So yeah, this might be pretty good. We'll have to see though, because Blade of the Ruined King is overall getting a nerf for sure. We'll see if that will be too much for her. But yeah, if you are a Vayne main, you will feel that, you will have a lot of fun, so rejoice. Moving on to Xayah. Now, they just straight up say here that she is too weak, and they're giving her a large buff. So let's check it out. I think this might make her one of the premier marksman champions, because honestly, I thought she's not that weak even before this buff. I feel like she was a little bit underrated, because she's very difficult to play. You have to keep in mind, guys, this is a very weird champion, and a lot of people, they see a skill shot like Q and they just max it. But that is wrong. You have to max the third ability, Blade Caller. But let's take a look at these buffs. Q is going to have some more damage at early ranks, as you can see, 15 at level 1, 10 at level 2, and 5 at level 3, and then the maximum level damage is still remaining the same. So that's going to give her some more poke potential in lane, especially level 1. That's actually pretty big. Whenever I play Xayah, I like to bully people level 1, level 2. It's not that weak, especially if you have a Lulu, but let's be real, everything with a Lulu is strong, before this patch that is. But yeah, that is pretty nice. Moving on to that second ability, a Deadly Plumage. You can see everything is getting buffed, every single thing all across the board. Deadly Plumage, bonus attack speed going up by 10 per level. Very, very nice, super good. She's going to be able to compete, especially in the late game more. Like, you know, these attack speed steroids for marksmen are always going to make them shine much more in the late game, just like the Tristana, for example, that received a huge Q buff. And then moving on to her main ability, which is exactly what you max, which is exactly what you need to play around, which is exactly why you buy Lucidity Boots. Because you need to minimize the cooldown on it. It's so important. Well, Riot is helping you out here, because they're lowering the cooldown by 1 second per level, which is very, very nice. Then they're also giving you a higher AD ratio. Keep in mind, this ability can crit. So that AD ratio gets doubled when you crit, which is gonna be quite insane, okay? I think she is gonna be dealing a lot of damage in team fights. She's gonna be one of the most difficult marksmen right after Draven, probably the most difficult marksman in the entire game. So yeah, we'll see. I hope we'll see a lot of really great Xayahs. I will play her a lot more as well. This is probably gonna be my first champion I will try out on the new patch, because this is honestly the biggest change, the biggest buff on this patch, and it is very exciting. I think she's gonna be great. Moving on to her ult, it's also getting buffed. The base damage is going to be a lot better now. 25 at level 1 increase from 100 to 125, 50, and then 75. So for each rank you get 25 even more additionally. So that is gonna be pretty insane. Especially late game, 375 damage seems pretty crazy. So yeah, and keep in mind, you spread all those feathers, you recall them, you have that increased AD ratio here, you have the cooldown, you know, because you can spread those feathers again with QW. Oh man, this is gonna be really fun. This is definitely gonna be great. Now, this is already it. No Orianna nerf, no Yasuo nerf. I think Yasuo needs a nerf. I think he's really insane. Akali, no nerf. Guys, I simp Akali. I only play Akali, but no nerf. No nerf. Why? You might be asking. Well, at least their items are getting nerfed, especially Akali and Orianna items are getting nerfed. Well, esports items, but let's take a look at it, okay? First of all, that Blade of the Ruined King nerf, that's gonna hit most Yasuo builds, unless you're stupid like me and build Trinity Force instead of it. It's not gonna, you know, but this is definitely gonna touch Yasuo a little bit. It's gonna buff the attack speed by 5%, which again is pretty good for Varus, is pretty good for Vayne, but losing 10 attack damage is just bigger than these 5% here, so that's still gonna hurt these champions in general. But yeah, it's especially gonna hurt champions like Miss Fortune, like Draven, who have no business building Blade of the Ruined King, and they're still, you know, they're still building it because it's just such a strong item. So I'm a huge fan of this change, very good nerf. Now, they also say that the melee champs are not abusing it, which I tend to agree with, mostly, except for that Yasuo, of course, which might be a little bit insane with this. But yeah, they're gonna be raising the damage from 6% to 9% of current enemy health physical damage on the passive aspect of the Blade of the Ruined King. For melee champs, for range champs, it's gonna stay the same, 6%, okay? So overall, the item is getting nerfed for range champions, is getting nerfed slash a little bit buffed against tanky champions on melee champions, or just remaining the same probably in general. But yeah, drain movement speed is also going down from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. So this should not only be the slow on the enemy champion, but also the buff on you. So the move speed buff you get for yourself. So yeah, overall a pretty big nerf, but it is good because again, this item is, I think it's still going to be great. I think even Miss Fortune is still just going to be building it. I think she's just going to take the L. She's just going to be a little bit weaker, just like Jhin back in the days, you know, 2 months ago when he was getting nerfed, GA got nerfed, he just took the L. And he was still pretty decent. Only now with the Enchanter support meta, where he really doesn't benefit a lot from an Ardent Censer, people stop playing him, you know? But yeah, so Blade of the Ruined King, pretty good nerf, still gonna be a strong item. Moving on to Liandry's Torment. Now this is gonna be interesting, okay? Because again, Orianna is not being nerfed, Akali is not being nerfed. Orianna definitely needs a big nerf. This is directly hitting Orianna because she buys this item very early on, either first or second, depending on what build you prefer. It's gonna be a 20 ability power reduction from 90 to 70, guys. That is insane. The combined cost is gonna go up, but the total cost is gonna go down because they're also changing the haunting, guys. That is where the cost is gonna go down. So the combined cost is gonna basically just make this even, you know? So it's still the same cost for Liandry's Torment. So you're still paying the same money, but losing 20 ability power, guys. That is pretty insane. Meanwhile, on Haunting, guys, it's honestly becoming a better item. It's losing 10 AP, yes, but it's gonna be 150 AP cheaper, which means that champions like Akali, I don't buy Liandry's on Akali. I think for solo queue, Liandry's is not good on Akali. I think you just want to go full burst. You want to one-shot the boys and the girls, and you just want to, yeah, you just want to destroy them, man. You just want to one-shot completely. You want to burst as much as possible, which Gunblade, Lichbane, Infinity Orb, Rabadon's Void Staff. This is the biggest burst you can get on Akali. And the Haunting guys, the Liandry's, just has no room. But I feel like maybe, because the Haunting guy's passive is so clean on Akali, because you will get that bonus damage on your second ult every single time, because, you know, you will always get those stacks. You will always be in combat until you can hit your second finishing ult, just that small item might be worth. So I might be going for that early and just sitting on it, and late game just sell it for a Void Staff, you know? We might do that, so that is very interesting. But yeah, overall, Liandry's nerfed, and in esports, every Akali goes first item Liandry's, in higher elo as well. Again, I think solo queue is a clown fiesta, and if you want to come ahead in the clown fiesta, you want to just one-shot as many people as you can. And yeah, I don't think Liandry's is going to be good for that. But yeah, so Orianna getting a nerf, is that enough? Just this Liandry's nerf? Hell no. She's still going to be insane. The burning passive of Liandry's is not getting changed. It's pretty strong. That's still going to be very potent. Orianna is going to apply that with every single poke. So yeah, definitely a pretty big nerf. Also for Aurelion Sol, of course, this hits him quite hugely. Aurelion Sol and Orianna are really just such strong champions that it won't make too much of a difference. Another nerf that is missing is Corki. I think he's really insane. Also not getting nerfed. But all in all, we're gonna be able... I'm saying that because we're already at the end of this patch. All in all, not too many changes. The Lulu was the most important one. That's hopefully gonna be gone. The Olaf is a little bit, you know, is a little bit tough. But at least we won't just be playing against Lulu every single game, Lulu Jinx, and just losing a late game every single time. So it's gonna make the game much more fun. I really hope the next patch is gonna swing in even harder here and bring us some even better changes, because we really need to get rid of Olaf. You know, guys, I'm a fan of Vinland Saga. It's good. I know, it's great, man. It's sick. It's so well done, that anime. But man, you know, I've seen enough of it, man. I don't want to see Olaf every single game. But yeah, with that being said, we're already at the end. There's the free-to-play champion rotation if you care about that. And yeah, all in all, quick little summary. The winners of this patch are mostly Xayah. Only Xayah, you know. Everything else is... Lulu is, of course, a big loser. Everything else is kind of going to be the same. I think Darius is a pretty nice buff as well. It's going to make him more fun to play as well. And all in all, my prognosis, my prediction for the next patch is probably you will see a lot of Yasuo, you'll see a lot of Orianna still in the mid lane, you'll see a lot of Olaf still, you'll see a little bit, you'll see way less Lulu, you'll see a little bit less Misfortune, you'll see more Ezreal again, you might see Varus, but I don't think so, you might see some more Vayne as well, but yeah, all in all, it's definitely just gonna get rid of this purple piece of absolute disgusting, stinky, smelly, stupid garbage, Lulu. So that's gonna be good. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know how what you think about this. Was it too long? Was it too short? Did I go into depth correctly? Did I go too into depth? You know, did I maybe say too many things that you didn't care about? And yeah. Leave an algorithmic comment as well if you don't want to give me any feedback, because it helps the channel with the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, with that being said, hope you enjoyed. Peace.